Is it a total flop, or have I just been completely living under a rock? Now, I have to accept that recently I have not had the same time and energy to commit to looking at luxury fashion and following the trends and watching videos and looking at what's being released, because life has just been so busy, and I will talk about that. But even with that, I have still kind of been skirting around the outside and the edges of it, and I have seen so very little talk and coverage about the Louis Vuitton Murakami new releases, and that is the Cherry Blossom, which has already been released, and also the Cherries, which are being released in May. Maybe it's because I am comparing and contrasting that with the total hype, the total mass marketing genius production that was the Multicolor. Yes, you can see the pieces. Yes, I fell for it. That was huge. We were all talking about it. There were lots of videos about it, about what was coming, about what we were interested in, about what people wanted to buy, about the debacle that was trying to do the pre-orders, trying to secure your pieces, whether or not Louis Vuitton were actually going to be able to fulfill those orders, whether or not people who had actually paid 100% deposits, and it seems a little bit, foolish to call 100% a deposit, but people had paid all of their money and still were not getting their pieces. That led to huge interest in the topic. I was talking about it, we were all talking about it. There was the packaging that they couldn't get right, there were the pieces that they couldn't get right, there were the queues, there was the sold out, how it just seemed to be on everybody's lips if you were involved, interested in any way the luxury community. There has definitely not been the same about the Cherry Blossoms and the Cherries. And having had almost like a little break from luxury, like a little hiatus, and not been looking at things, not watching videos, not looking on the internet, not researching the new pieces that are coming out, I just wondered, have I just missed it? Because it has coincided with a time in my life when life got so busy and I didn't have time to be looking at luxury and investing in luxury. Or has it just been a bit of a flop? Has it not been anything like the release of the Multicolor? Now, I never did expect it to be like the release of the Multicolor. The Multicolor collections carried, for us slightly older than 19 years old people, a lot of nostalgia because it was released back in the early 2000s. Certainly I remember it being released, remember it being everywhere, but couldn't even afford to think about walking into a Louis Vuitton store at the time. So when it was re-released, it was kind of one of those cult classic collections that most people wanted a piece of. I have the black Speedy, as you know, that sits out of my office, that I just wanted to have a piece of the black Multicolor. I had no intention of using that bag. I will never use that bag. That bag is not for me a bag to use. It is a bag to sit on display and look pretty in all of its black multicolour glory. If I'm going to talk to you about its multicolour glory, I should show you it. This bag I think is stunning. I love the canvas on it. No intention of ever wearing it. Far too big, far too bulky, don't like these corners, don't like how bulky it is. Don't really think it's ever a bag that I would carry. It just doesn't really draw me that way, but love it as decor. Because it pulled on all of those heartstrings, the re-release of this collection, it was very popular, it got a lot of hype, and I don't think the Cherry Blossoms and the Cherries were ever really going to get to that same level, but I did expect, if I'm honest, a little bit more. I did expect to hear and see and feel a bit more of a vibe and a hype about the second and the third stages of the Murakami release. Now, the third stage hasn't come yet. The Cherries I don't think are being released until May, but the Cherry Blossom was released in March. Initially, there was talk about doing pre-orders for that, and you could order the pieces that you wanted. Then there was a almost internet launch where you would go online to try and get one of your pieces. When you went to get one of the pieces, you were put into a waiting room, and then whether or not you got to the point of being able to purchase one of those was how quickly you'd logged on, how long you were in the waiting room, and if there was a piece available for you. It reminded me a little bit of trying to get really popular concert tickets, and they go on the Ticketmaster and everybody's fastest fingers first, and you have 3 or 4 screens going and you're trying to get the tickets to the concert. It kind of reminded me of that as what they were trying to do. And I did wonder if that was to try and build some more hype, because obviously there was a lot of kickback to Louis Vuitton about how the Murakami multicolour launch went. A lot of people were not impressed by the disaster that was. A lot of people had opinions on it, myself included. That I wondered, did they maybe try to do it a bit differently by not having the pre-orders, which, let's be honest, pre-orders if you are a VIC in Louis Vuitton, and I have to say this, having been in that lucky, fortunate position that I was able to order whatever pieces I wanted because of that status and they were secured well in advance, that has a knock-on impact and effect on other people trying to get their pieces. That has an impact on people who do not have the same relationship with Louis Vuitton trying to get those pieces and maybe not being able to. And that's something which wasn't great. I appreciate why, and obviously I benefited from it, so I bear that in mind as I sit here and say this. And I appreciate why the people that spend a lot of money with the brand, they give you early access to these things so as you can pre-order and get your pieces, because you are committed to the brand in the long term and you purchase from the brand in the long term. It's a little bit like the Hermes game, and if you buy from the brand and are committed to the brand in the long term, you have a better chance of getting the Birkin or the Kelly. Same whenever they have the limited editions. If you're spending a lot, buying a lot from the brand, wearing the brand, you have a better chance of getting access to those. But it does mean that people who wanted a piece of it that just don't buy as much Louis Vuitton weren't maybe able to get it. And as much as I was very fortunate and benefited from that, it would have been good if there was still enough then that other people could have got those pieces as well and got them without having to go the resale market and spend 3 times the price of the piece to get the piece that they wanted. So I kind of wondered from all of that backlash, is that why they changed the launch of the Cherry Blossom? Is that why they made it the online launch? Is that why they did that everybody had a chance to get it by logging on online, by getting into the waiting room to see if you could secure your piece? Did that make it a little bit fairer? Were they trying to counteract some of the negativity from the multicolour launch? Were they trying to make it a bit more accessible? And also because there was such a backlash to Louis Vuitton after the multicolour, and there was no hype really about the Cherry Blossom, were they trying to hype it up a bit? Were they trying to make it a bit more, oh, let's get in, let's log in, let's see if we get on, let's see if we get our piece, rather than what a lot of people in the comment box were saying was, well, I'm not even going to bother. Well, sure, I wanted that and I tried to get that. Sure, the VICs all got it. I'm not even going to bother trying to get it. And did they pick up and know that that was kind of the feeling that was out there, and they tried to counteract that by doing this to make it more available? Did it work? I don't know. You guys, please tell me. Are you buying the Cherry Blossom? Have you seen much of it? Obviously, I've seen a bit of it, but nowhere near what I would have expected to. I think it's been a bit of a flop, maybe, although I do know that there's not very much of it online, so maybe they produced a lot less of it and what they've produced has sold out. What do you think? Do you think that it just hasn't been as popular? Do you think that they were never producing that much? Do you think that the people that wanted it, that got it? I just haven't seen much about this, and it made me wonder, was it a flop? Had they changed that marketing? Are they suffering from how the multicolour launch went? Can we ever say Louis Vuitton and suffering in the same sentence? I just heard that and thought, Amelia, I don't really correlate Louis Vuitton with suffering, so I heard that out loud and I'm going to retract it because that just doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean. Has the launch of that new section of Murakami been damaged by how the first went? And what do we think is going to happen with the cherries? Are you buying any of these pieces? I have to say the Cherry Blossom, I don't really love any of it. I think that some of the very pink pieces, like the capucines, and I will put pieces on the screen, didn't really speak to me. There was nothing in this collection that I thought, oh, I really, really want that. But to be honest, the initial original collections, I didn't really love the Cherry Blossom either. I loved Cherry Blossoms, but I just didn't really love this collection. The one piece that I was tempted, but I was buying it for all the wrong reasons, was the Nice Mini. Now, I already have the monogram Nice Mini, don't need another one. Thought about it as decor, I know, I hear it, thought about it as decor, but if I'm honest, and I'll put it on the screen, I don't like the face in the middle of the Cherry Blossom. And I know that's part of Murakami, obviously, but I just don't like that. I prefer Cherry Blossoms, let me lift my trunk. I prefer Cherry Blossoms when they're painted like cherry blossoms like you see on the tree. And I know that's probably boring of me and it's probably very normal, but I just prefer this. I prefer when it just looks like actual cherry blossoms rather than the face in the middle of it. And I get that the whole Murakami, I get that that's part of Murakami's brand, but it's not really for me. And I'm glad that I saw sense, because I've admitted this in another video, I was going to bad anyway, because you know, it was the new release and it was hyped and it was coming and oh, let's get a piece of that. Why don't we? Let's add it onto the shelves because there's not enough decor sitting behind us. I was going to do that. Yes, I was. I didn't, and I'm glad that I didn't, but I did nearly. But those faces I just don't love, so it didn't really call me that much. And the cherry collection doesn't really call me that much either. I never really loved the cherry collection either. For me, release 2 and 3 was never going to be the same, but I did think I would hear more about it, and I did think there would be a bit more about it. And I've certainly been a bit surprised by how little I've heard. Maybe it is that I've just been living under a rock. Let me know, what do you think? Do you think that, did you order the cherry blossom? Are you ordering the cherries? Do you think that they were almost damaged by the disastrous multicolour and all the backlash against that and the negativity? What do you think? Let me know. And I'm expecting my medal in the post soon for not ordering something just for the sake of it. Well done, Amelia. Personal growth. Okay, I'm going to get off that topic. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you've enjoyed this little chit chat in any way, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you're not done with me yet, I'm going to leave another video for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.